Amen.
Here we are. It's good to see everybody. Most of you are smiling. Brad looks serious. And Jim looks not certain that he's awake. Yes.
I'm with him. Got my
Okay.
coffee.
All right. It's now streaming live. There are millions of people signing on. Hi, Lynn Wertheimer. Lynn, you sent a wonderful comic thing about the Hanukkah songs. That group of boys singing West Side Story.
Oh.
Do you remember you sent that, Lynn? Lynn?
That was, I
Yes.
sent that also, Rabbi.
Yes.
Oh my gosh,
know.
West Side Story.
It was
Yeah.
wonderful. It was
funny.
wonderful.
Yeah.
Rest in peace, Stephen Sondheim.
It was so impressive that they decided to come out with a whole new version of it. I mean, so actually, Risa and I are talking about going to see that movie. It should be great. It should be excellent. So we will do that. Then Jim will review it for us. Shabbat Shalom. Happy Hanukkah, everybody. Cindy, we're going to ask you not to talk about tomorrow, but to talk about yesterday.
It was wonderful. There were, well, a lot of people showed up without reservations, so there were probably about 200.
Wow.
Lots of kids, just a wonderful, it was very well organized. Very nice service. But Sisterhood is still collecting towel sets for the women's shelter. If anyone can donate a 3-piece towel set, toiletries, socks, just
Okay, Cindy, may I say I ordered something is coming, but it may be on the 20th is the last day. It might get here in the mail. I ordered towels and stuff.
Not clear what she was saying.
Okay. Cindy, you froze. Okay. We had a similar thing. We had a
giving them goodies and decorations and presents for the people at the shelter.
we received a big box full of towels yesterday. The request was that they be sent to the temple, and they ended up on our doorstep. So
Oh.
we're gonna have to figure out how to throw the towels from here to there, and we will.
Well, let's talk and I could come pick them up or something.
Okay,
drop them on.
that absolutely would be. I mean, we're sitting here with all these lovely towels, and looking at them makes me want to shower. So
The only thing would be if you're going to services on the 10th, you could just bring them.
okay,
I'll
okay.
do
Oh, wait, that's at Irmis. Never mind. The 17th.
Okay, and
Because
that won't be too late.
no, we need them by the 20th. So if you can't do it, let me know and I'll come pick them up.
Oh, okay, Risa, I won't do any of that, obviously, because I'm not trusted, but Risa will do that happily.
Excuse me
Okay,
for interrupting, Rabbi, but I have towels, but they won't be here till the 20th. I tried to get them by the 10th, and I will check with the temple on where to send them.
okay, or if you can get them over to the temple.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you.
Okay. Now, today is a very complicated day, but it's complicated only in good ways. So it's Shabbat, right? We got Shabbat. And it's Hanukkah, okay? We got Hanukkah. And it's also something else. What is that something else? Right, it's Rosh Chodesh. Today is the beginning of the new month. Now, the new month is Tevet, and this is going to be very important for you to remember and maybe to tell your children and grandchildren. When a month has 30 days, a rare occurrence in the Jewish calendar, when a month has 30 days, there are 2 days Rosh Chodesh. And we are in that now. It is a very exciting moment. It's almost like a solar eclipse. So we have 2 days Rosh Chodesh, which means that we're dealing with 2 different Haftarahs. This is going to excite you. One is the Haftarah for Rosh Chodesh, but also the Haftarah for Machar Chodesh, because tomorrow is the new moon. So we not only have a new moon Haftarah, we have tomorrow is the new moon Haftarah. And if you find any better reason to go out and get drunk, I don't know. But that's what's going on. So we have Shabbat, Hanukkah, 2 days Rosh Chodesh, 2 different Haftarot. Now, in the old days, when we used to go to services, you may remember that you actually drove up to the building and you walked inside and you sat down in the services. Now, if you would come this Shabbat morning, instead of studying together with our community, you would see something rare up front near the ark. What's going on near the ark today, Shabbat, Hanukkah, double Rosh Chodesh? What's happening? Right. This is another exciting thing. They are taking out 3 Torah scrolls. 3 Torah scrolls. This is, awesome. Okay. 1 Torah scroll will be for the regular Shabbat reading. The 2nd Torah scroll will be for Rosh Chodesh. And the 3rd Torah scroll is for Hanukkah. So you're going to say, give me another occasion when 3 Torah scrolls are taken from the ark. And you're going to say, Steve Miller.
I'm going to say Kol Nidre.
Now that's display. I mean, yes, that's a cheap victory. Yes, we take all the Torahs out of the ark. Yeah, okay. But the correct answer is Simchat Torah. Well, we take out all the Torahs for the different readings and so forth and so on. But that's okay. Next year, when I ask you the same question, you probably won't remember. Anyway.
Does Kislev always have 30 days, or is it only in the years when there are those leap days?
Well, it's not an always, Steve. As you know, 7 times every 19 years, there's a leap year, right? It's really irregular in order to keep solar lunar together. And a 30-day month is very unusual, but it has to happen periodically to close out that occasion. So I thought I would begin by doing something to be a little cautious. Last night, when you kindled the Hanukkah candles and the Shabbat candles, which candles got kindled first? Cindy?
The Hanukkah candles starting on the left.
Hanukkah candles down. Oh, yeah, you're a Hillel person. Okay, I mean, those of us who still like Shammai and worry about the old days. But yes, that's correct. Now, tonight, Saturday night, we have Havdalah and Hanukkah, right? And what's the order of lighting candles tonight?
Havdalah, then Hanukkah, because you can't light the Hanukkah candles on Shabbat.
Right, and I don't want to catch any of you lighting the Hanukkah candles before you light the Havdalah candle, okay? Because that would not be acceptable. Okay, now we're going to continue a little bit, just a little bit on the Hanukkah track, because to me anyway, it's fascinating. We can only find this text in the Plout, not in the WRJ. So we're going to turn in the Plout to 1448, 1448. On a 1448, we're going to find, oh, it's really there. We're going to find the Haftarah for Hanukkah. Okay, the Special Haftarah. And it's only 7 verses. Do we have a reader? Do we have a reader, someone who would like to read 7 verses in English? Okay, Mona, thank you. I don't know where in the old Plout, Jim Ruxin. It would be in the back, and it's right after the Haftarah for Simchat Torah. It's after the Haftarah for Sukkot. It goes Sukkot, Simchat Torah, Hanukkah, in the very back of the book. Mona, would you please read this fascinating little Haftarah piece?
The one that starts with the angel.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
The angel who had been talking with me came back and wakened me as a sleeper is awakened. He said to me, "What do you see?" I said, "I see a lampstand, all of gold, with a bowl on its top. There are 7 lamps on it, and on its top there are 7 pipes for the lamps. By it are 2 olive trees, one on the right of the bowl and the other on its left." Then I said to the angel who had been talking with me, "What are these, my Lord?" And the angel who'd been talking with me answered, saying, "Don't you know what these things are?" "No, my Lord, I do not," I said. Then he explained it to me, saying, "This is the word of the Eternal to Zerubbabel. Not by might nor by power, but by my Spirit, says the God of heaven's hosts." Should I keep going?
Yes, please. Well, one more.
"What are you, you great mountain? Before Zerubbabel you shall become a plain. He shall bring out the topmost stone, and seeing it all shall cry, 'Beautiful, beautiful.'"
What is going on here? What is going on here? Because there is real stuff going on here. Anyone want to hazard a quick guess when you're reading this, Effie? You're muted, which is lovely, but you know.
Yes, I know you like that.
Yes.
It's to prove that God is the one who makes the miracles, not human beings.
Okay. So not by might, not by power, but by my Spirit, God is saying, don't rely upon earthly things. I'll take care of things. That's one thing going on there. What else? Look at verse 2. What do you see? I see a lampstand. In Hebrew, the lampstand is menorah, menorah zahav. I see a menorah of gold. What is fascinating to me, anyway, about this passage, it's one of the clearest descriptions of the menorah that apparently was in the Jerusalem temple. We see an image of it on Titus's arch. We see, different kinds of things. Here we see in the prophet Zechariah, here we see a description of the menorah by someone who probably had seen the menorah. Okay? That's the clearest picture we have in the whole Bible of what that menorah looked like. So when you look at it, you think about it, lampstand, gold, bowl on top, 7 lamps, pipes, olive trees. And they say that, in fact, the menorah itself was designed to almost look like a vegetation, if you will, something that is growing, a living, I can say that without moving my arms.
No, you can't.
Probably not. A living thing like that. So to me, this was very, very exciting. Here we have a witness to what the temple's menorah looked like, describing it here. Okay, let me give you a little bit of background and then we'll get to a couple of questions. One, see if this leads you anywhere. Zechariah apparently taught, prophesied, worked around 520 BCE, give or take. What does that tell you? It's a very important comment. What does that 520 BC, Penina? By the way, I haven't seen you in a long time, Penina. It's good to see you. Okay. You're muted. You're
right.
Okay.
That's the first exile by the Assyrians or by the Babylonians. So he's kind of like prophesizing a return and a rebuild of the temple and establishing at the center of the worship back.
Okay, so what is the exact date approximately? You heard me. The exact date approximately of the destruction of the first temple?
It was 500 something BCE, but I don't remember exactly.
586, 587 BCE.
Right.
Hold that date. Okay, who destroyed or what country destroyed the temple?
The Assyrians,
The Babylonians.
The
Darius.
Babylonians.
Babylonians. Okay.
The
sorry, excuse
Babylonians.
me. Yeah.
Now there arose a new empire after the destruction of the temple. The Babylonians were defeated by the
Assyrians.
Greek.
This is
Romans.
Darius.
Persians.
by the Persians, those who
Yeah.
were really good, like today. I mean, you get lots of great food. But anyway, the Persians came, and Cyrus was the one who
Allow them
led
to
the
go back.
Persians to, right? Now,
Darius the Great.
Cyrus and the Persians defeated the Babylonians. Then came Darius. I love these names. I think if I had a kid again, maybe I'd name it Darius. Darius, especially, that's a nice name, Darius. Okay. Darius came, overthrew Babylonia. Well, Cyrus came and overthrew Babylonia, those who had destroyed the first temple. Fine. Cyrus was replaced by Darius in Persia, and he appointed a governor over what was Judea and Samaria, what was the two Jewish states, now all of which had been conquered and stuff. He appointed, here's the name, it's in our Haftarah, Zerubbabel. Zerubbabel apparently was of the Davidic family. Are you following me?
Yes.
So Darius appointed a legitimate individual to sit over Judah. Now, Darius also had a clever way of ruling. He wanted the local regional areas to be semi-autonomous, not autonomous, God forbid, but semi-autonomous. So by appointing Zerubbabel over Judah, he sort of had a Davidic ruler over what was left of the Jewish community in Judah. How do you think the people responded to this? They became loyal supporters of the Persians. This is a good thing. Now, at the time of the reign of Darius and the appointing of Zerubbabel, there appeared a prophet named Zechariah.
Daniel? Oh.
Zechariah.
Zachariah.
So here we have from our Haftarah a prophet who spoke at a time of rising optimism. The Persians were pretty good people. They allowed a semi-autonomous Davidic family ruler, and Darius wanted something else too. Interestingly, he wanted the temple rebuilt.
Right.
Again, because happy Jews praying to their weird God won't give the ruler of Persia any problems. They're probably correct. It's not that, oh boy, he wanted to become a member of the Jewish community, but Darius wants the temple rebuilt, Zerubbabel wants the temple rebuilt, and Zechariah says rebuilding the temple is God's will. So here you have political power, prophetic power, and eventually priestly power uniting to control and rebuild what was left after the destruction of the temple. So this passage, really, really interesting. And so I said to the angel, hey, what's going on here? Angel said, don't you know? No, I don't know. Don't you hate it when someone says, what's going on? And they say, you mean you don't know what's going on? That's what happens here. My kids resent that all the time. If I knew, I wouldn't say what's going on. Okay, but even the angel was a bit terse. Don't you know what's going on? No, I don't. Then he said, this is what God said to Zerubbabel. Now again, Zerubbabel, Davidic ruler, political person controlling Judah at the time. Apparently, these are approximations, okay? Not by might nor by power, but by my spirit. And then the end,
Amen.
the not by might, not by power is, hey, Jews, not hey, Jude, that's a different song. Hey, Jews, don't revolt against Persia. Not by might, not by power. Go home, build the temple, build a Jewish life, build your semi-autonomous country. Fine. Not by might, not by power. Don't go fighting. Every time you go fighting, you get killed. Don't do that. Now, at the end, what are you, great mountain? Before Zerubbabel, you shall become a plain. The commentators are a little bit questioning that. And I know I'm speaking to Tamara and I'm going to get shot out of the water. But apparently this is a statement about, you see the heap of ruins that is the Temple Mount. I'm going to flatten it out and build a new temple there. Bring out, and the topmost stone in that interpretation would be a second temple. I'm going to put this glorious thing. And one of the, I don't know why certain passages always have stuck in my head. Evan Harosha Teshuot, with the claims, the cries of Chen, Chen, La. It's a wonderful phrase. It's like, wow, this is the best. That's really, they're going to build a temple and people are going to say, oh, Chen, Chen, La, this is great. Now, a question. How did this end up being the Hanukkah Haftarah? Why did the rabbis choose it? Why? It came long after the Maccabees in terms of a selection of a Haftarah. Steve.
Because it's another instance of essentially rededication of the temple.
Super. So there is completely a Hanukkah event, not using the word, a Hanukkah event here. We're not going to rededicate the temple. We're going to rebuild the temple. But yes, we're going to do it. And yes, so that fits totally. And the message, Mona.
I was just going to add that the whole thing talks about this site, which is presented in a kind of dreamlike way, as so beautiful and inspiring, that it's a kind of call to everyone to unite around this vision of such power and beauty.
By the way, yeah, I would say absolutely yes. And not to be a stick in the mud or someone who, you know, is always onto downers, but the second temple, actually there were probably 2 or 3, maybe 4 efforts to rebuild the temple. And the first one that was built was not a Chen La building. It was not a beautiful structure. It was nice. It was nice. Okay, we're going to, I mean, there is so much here. The blend of power. Tamara, please.
Yeah, you asked why they chose it. One reason might be the lo b'koach, because they are reinterpreting Hanukkah away from the Maccabees and into a festival of light. So this is about the Menorah, and it's about a different kind of power than the warlike Maccabees, now that the temple has been redestroyed and rebellion proved futile. So it's the reinterpretation of what Hanukkah is.
I spoke to, because I do this just to drive the kids crazy, I talked to my granddaughters last night, and so at Bowerman, what do you taught about Hanukkah and about who were the bad guys, right? And when I was a kid, I know who the bad guys were, anyone who wasn't Jewish, that was clear. And my 11-year-old granddaughter said, both sides, everybody was bad. All those Jews were killing other Jews. Poor kid. I shall never have the blind excitement that I once had about Hanukkah. And yeah, every time the Jews rose up in rebellion, armed rebellion, it ended poorly. It ended poorly. And the rabbis wanted to find a text that would push back against this. And I'm going to do only one flip into, if you will, the present time and say that the founders of the state of Israel believed that the Maccabees were the best possible parallel to what they were doing. Powerful, worldly soldiers go out, build a country, with one hand a plow, with another hand a machine gun, with another hand a plane. They were very, very busy. And the Maccabees and Hanukkah, everything. And today, it is fascinating how a clearer understanding of what Hanukkah was intended by the rabbis to be is now affecting how Israel views the Maccabees. Just like in the old days when they were talking about Masada, the notion of, commit suicide for the sake of God, and everyone, 900 whatever people die on Masada, that's a great thing. Nowadays, it's being reinterpreted. Okay, Lady Jones, please, you had your hand up, and then we're going to move on.
Thank you, Rabbi. I have one question now about Israel, maybe at the end of the study, about the rebuilding of the temple and when what's going on with that in Israel. That's what I was going to ask you about now. Later.
Okay. That is a totally on target question, and there are
I understand.
There are groups of people firmly dedicated to rebuilding the temple. By the way, it's a fun project. If you read their documents, the first step is remove the Dome of the Rock, stage one.
Mhm.
Stage two, I don't know what, get ready for Armageddon and the world's going to blow up.
God forbid.
Stage one is pretty hefty.
Yeah.
They actually are making golden utensils for the temple. They are preparing for it. And these people need to be watched day and night.
They're breeding cows in Texas too.
Pardon?
They're breeding red heifers in Texas.
Yes, they're breeding perfect red heifers in Texas. And someday we'll have a red heifer barbecue. Howard?
Rabbi.
I just wonder
Love this,
what
Rabbi.
the whole rest of the world is loaded with Meshuggahs. Why shouldn't the Jews have them too?
You're totally right, and that's a very challenging thought. We have some massive, crazy, idiotic, politically dangerous Jews in our 13 million member worldwide community. And we have to be as willing to oppose them openly as we are willing to oppose other Meshugayim. Yes, I agree with you. I'm going to hold a pause here. I see across my screen, and you know that I see very little, but I see Abby Barron. And Abby has not been with us for many, many months, and it's because of a cascade of illnesses, not fully yet resolved, but the fact that Abby is able to sit and to be with us today is really, really, really exciting. There is a traditional prayer for such a moment, Abby. And there are rules, and I'll explain how it goes. I'm supposed to say, Baruch atah Adonai. Well, actually, you're supposed to say, but I'm going to say for you, so I'm not going to put, right. Do I have your permission to be your agent?
Yes,
Okay.
you do.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shegamalanu kol tov. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, who has bestowed every goodness upon us. And then the community, which is us, is supposed to say the following. I'm going to do it word by word. Please repeat these words. After Abby has said, Baruch atah Adonai shegamalani kol tov, we say, please repeat these words. Amen.
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 Me.
Me.
Shegamalchem.
Shegamalchem.
Kol tov.
Lotov.
Tov.
Lotov.
Who?
Who.
Who.
Alchem.
Alchem.
Kol tov.
Kol
Kol
Tov.
Tov.
Selah.
Selah.
Translation for that is, Amen. May the one who has bestowed goodness upon us continue to bestow every goodness upon us forever.
Amen.
Amen.
And the last time I recited that, Abby, was when Risa had a devastating fall, shattered her leg or foot and everything. Finally, we were able to bring her back into synagogue the first time in Jerusalem. And the rabbi cited this blessing. It's a statement of, no, it's not over, but boy, things are beginning to look a little better, and we are grateful. And so, Abby, welcome home.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. And I miss you guys, and I just try my best. Yeah, thank you.
Oh, bless you, honey.
And week for week, but you know you have family here, and it's
No,
just
thank
great.
you.
It's great to see you. Okay. Okay. Well, that's
But where are you? I'm trying to figure out where are we in the book.
okay. I'm not going to tell you that because you're kind of late. No, we
It
are.
sounds like
We're finishing up. Yeah, we finished up all the prep stuff, and now quickly, Jim, December 4th. What do you have for us? Jim Ruxin is silent. Good, we'll miss that. But there is a
Tick, tick, boom.
Pardon?
He's doing tick, tick, boom tonight.
Yes, and I saw a tick, tick, boom with Risa, and even though Jim's not here, I thought it was fabulous. I thought it was an outstanding movie, fabulous. So in any event, oh, Jim, we were just talking about you while you were out drinking. We're talking about Tick, Tick, Boom, and I said that it was fabulous, and it's December 4th, 7:30.
That's right. Not much more needs to be said. It's a lot of fun. You don't have to know or love Broadway to get this human drama about a struggling playwright. It's based on Jonathan Larson, who created Rent. I think this is better than Rent, but it's all about the creative process. And there's a wonderful cameo by an actor named Brad Whitford, I believe, and he impersonates the late Stephen Sondheim. It's a drop dead gorgeous performance. And but the whole film is fun. There's great dance. Lin-Manuel Miranda directed it, did a beautiful job, and it's just fun for the whole family.
Yeah. It's certainly going to be up for honors for this year. It is a great movie. Please, good idea to see it. I'm also going to point out that Angela Buchdahl and the World Union for Progressive Judaism is putting on a Hanukkah performance this afternoon. You have to find it by going to the World Union for Progressive Judaism website, click on it, free to be available. Angela and the Central Synagogue establishment do beautiful work. I strongly recommended that as a prelude to the movie.
Do you know what time?
I have it down here. I'm always insecure. I have it down here as 5 p.m. our time, 8 p.m. Eastern. I think that's correct, but 5 p.m. is the time I have. Next, a very important footnote. It is time now to begin making your Christmas Eve, Erev Christmas reservations at local Chinese restaurants. I always try to remind you about that, and people then say, oh, I should have listened. They took no more reservations. Christmas was ruined. So Erev Christmas, Christmas Eve, please make certain that you make your reservations. And now, Abby, checking in. Anyone have a personal event, a story, or concern that they would like to share with us now, before we jump into the text itself? Effie, I want credit for studying text, even though it was Haftarah. No, it doesn't count. I didn't figure it did. Okay. We're now going to go to Genesis chapter 41, verse 33. In the Women of Reformed Judaism commentary, page 238, in the New Plout 270, Genesis 41:33. Whew, that was quite a series of introductions for today's work. Okay.
Great job.
So we go to Genesis 41:33. I have to turn back in my book.
I don't have a book yet.
Well, we'll do the best we can. Okay, so we're in the middle, near the close already of the Joseph story, and it is so wonderful. The Sedra is called Miketz, and we go on. So it's 41:33. Yeah. So here's our scene. I rather brilliantly described, thanks to my teachers on my Thursday evening, Friday morning post, that Joseph is a man of pits. He emerges from pits. Somebody's always throwing him in a pit, and then he comes out of the pit, and he's thrown in the pit, and he comes out of the pit. And we begin to see how Joseph is going to try to control his world. So Joseph has been brought out of the dungeon, which in Hebrew is bor, which is also translated as pit, which is also translated as cistern. And you have to tune in to me to get all those variations. But Joseph is brought out of the dungeon, presented to Pharaoh as a dream interpreter. And Pharaoh has these dreams. And this is what Joseph says. Let Pharaoh now select a man who is discerning and wise, Navon v'chacham, and set him over the land of Egypt. Let Pharaoh act and appoint administrators. Let Pharaoh take 1/5 of the produce of the land, have them gather up all the surplus from the good years, save them up, and put it under guard. The food will then be a reserve for the land during the 7 years of famine. Verse 37. This advice seemed good to Pharaoh and his officials, and Pharaoh said to his officials, is there anyone like this to be found, a man with the Spirit of God in him? Please describe to me what's going on here. What is Joseph doing? And you know, what is the impact of this? What's going on? What's going on? Why is Joseph involved in this? Miss Jones, you raised your hand.
Because he has a gift from God of interpreting dreams, and to bring him out of prison, to save the people and to feed and bring back his family into Egypt. There's a plan here. It's the Holy Spirit, right? We're talking about from the Menorah, the Spirit of God, not Joseph, but God's Spirit on him that is allowing all this to happen.
Good. Let's take another approach. Same text, same question. What's going on here? Some of the rabbis follow Lady Jones and say, Joseph is such a man of God. Joseph is such a humble human being. Joseph is so self-diminishing. Other commentators say, Joseph is so arrogant, it shines through. He's kind of like, you know, Pharaoh, if I were in your position, I probably would look for a wise and discerning person, somebody who can interpret things, somebody with whom God speaks, and then do this. Pharaoh, that's what I humbly suggest to you.
I love it.
Okay, and there's a debate. There's not an answer. There's a debate. Penina, do you see Joseph as humble or arrogant?
Both.
I think, I don't know really how to explain it, that he never told his father that he's alive. That bothered me every time that I read the story. I always say, they weren't that far away, and here he is alive, and he's in a good position, and things are happening in the land of Judea, back and forth, and he never tells his dad, and he lets him grieve to a point where the man becomes very, I don't know how to say it, unproductive or something, to a point of nothing. And he doesn't tell him that he's alive all those years that he's there. He waits till the brothers come and all this stuff, and to make sure that Benjamin is with them. And what is it? What happening in between? This is a big question mark in my book all the time, that I don't know how to judge this guy.
Thank you, Penina. Perfect. Mara, please. Yes.
I like what Penina said, and if I could take it further, it seems that both the dream itself and how Joseph is interpreting it is saying that those of us who have much have responsibility to the nation or community as a whole to share. And I think that very much ties in also with what Penina just said.
I agree with you. I like that.
Okay. Any other Brad, please.
Well, Joseph could have interpreted the dream without saying a word about putting somebody in charge. So that business of the need to put somebody in charge seems very self-serving to me.
Yeah, it's kind of, okay, Marina, please.
He did appear self-serving, but at the same time, he proposed a solution and he implemented it. And he implemented it not only to his advantage, but to the Pharaoh's advantage, and ultimately to the advantage of his family and all the people who had sustenance, who could eat. If he didn't proceed with his plan, there would have been much more disastrous famine. So to me, he looks like a politician. And
Oh, now we're getting nasty. Yes.
Oh my God.
He serves his purposes, but he also serves the purposes of the community. And the fact that he didn't inform his father, I didn't think about it before, but his brothers were also there, and they kind of wanted to kill him. And I don't know what he could have stood up when he was a servant and not a ruler of the prosperous land, how life would have changed if he made himself known.
Yeah, I am in some ways reminded of FDR, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, and all of his social welfare safety net programs that served to help bring America up out of the Depression. Of course, FDR was made totally successful by the happy advent of World War II, which really succeeded in stirring up and reinvigorating the American economy, but we don't talk about that. But when FDR was crafting his great society, new society plans, he also was crafting plans to bring more votes into the Democratic category. So Marina, yeah, political. He was not only doing something which had positive benefit, but he also was doing something which had strong political benefit. For him, a win-win. And we always wonder at the end of the day, if Japan had not attacked the United States, what would the United States have done with what was going on in Europe? And that remains a great, great question, a real question that people are dealing with. Any other comments on Joseph and his humility? Anything else? Ray, I haven't heard from you at all today, but are you there?
Haven't. That's my special gift to the group for Hanukkah.
Oh, no. Oh, no. Okay, so we have Joseph, and I'm going to claim that climbing out of a pit isn't all that easy. You can look like you're out of the pit, but it may take a lifetime to really be out of the pit. Does anyone have any thoughts on that idea? It strikes me that Joseph had to move from being Joseph of the Technicolor Dreamcoat to being Joseph, a wise counselor in Egypt and able to make a sort of peace with his family. To me, this is all a part of what it takes to climb out of a pit. Please, I see Mona first, then Steve. I don't want you two to fight.
I'm struck that Joseph's life is marked by tremendous highs and tremendous lows. He receives absolute adulation from his father. He's a star to the point where he arouses enormous jealousy and really evil conduct on the part of his brothers. I mean, they come close to murdering him, then they leave him in a pit. Almost certainly he's going to die. If he doesn't die, he'll be taken as a slave by somebody. And the language in this passage is so exalting. It's as if his life is never marked by average, ordinary moments. They're like these huge highs and huge lows. And I mean, undoubtedly living through something like that, it would take you years to recover.
I think so. I think so, Steve.
I was going to say, actually, at the core, I believe Joseph is extremely arrogant throughout his life and can be manipulative. And what happened between the pit and becoming a head guy in Egypt is he read How to Win Friends and Influence People.
I
don't think his core changed.
Oh, I disagree with that, actually.
I disagree too.
I think at the end of the Joseph story, when he falls into the arms of his brothers after putting them in considerable danger, you know, setting them up as if they had stolen things and loaded their sacks on the camels before returning home. He gave them a taste of what he had suffered, but it's really just a tiny taste. And then they all fall into each other's arms. So I think there is a big emotional reconciliation. You can be arrogant and still have love.
Well, that's good.
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to ask you, Mona, a technical question based upon your skill as a playwright. It's good to have such confusions in the character's character. It's good to have a complex, good, bad, you know, a little bit of this, a lot of that, to make the character both human and interesting. And it's one of those things that makes the Joseph story, so approachable, because you can ask questions like this. Tamara, please.
What wins me over to Joseph as he matures is how he gives his brothers a second chance to really find out who they are and make some kind of amend for what they have done, and turns things around.
That's
yes.
beautiful.
Yes, thank you for that. Thank you. There's also, Mona, another little factor woven through here. Joseph's a hero, right? Saves the people of Egypt, saves his family, hugs the brothers, does tshuva, makes it possible, and they live happily ever after, right?
I don't know here.
They end up as slaves in Egypt.
But that's because there came a Pharaoh who knew not Joseph.
Yeah.
I agree with him.
I mean, I get that, but when we're trying to figure out, and I'm going to give you a specific example, and it deals with Israel and deals with between 37 and 48, 49, what it took to build a Jewish state. Great heroics. Okay? And without those heroics, there would not be the miracle. In my mind, small m, not God, but fancy word. There would not be that. There would not be a third Jewish Commonwealth. There would not be a Jewish state. Having said that, that process erupted in the 67 war and ended up with the occupation. And we just have to be aware that along with great gifts come real threats. And gifts have to be handled very, very carefully. Joseph got the people down into Egypt, moved to Goshen, all is well. But he moved them into a people in the midst of a people who abominated Jews. They thought Jews, they thought they could not even sit down and at a table and eat a meal with the Israelites, right?
Mm-hmm.
And eventually there arose a populist pharaoh, Steve, who tapped into this antipathy toward the Israelites and moved towards serfdom or slavery. And you look at other examples in our country. God, I don't want to get into this, but since I only have 2.5 minutes left, you don't have much time to attack me.
Go for it, Rabbi.
I'll go for it. The New York Times last week reported a school board meeting in some smaller town in the Midwest. I don't remember where. I should remember. I don't. And they were finishing up, the school board's term, and the people were giving valedictory statements. This is what we did. Then they opened it up for community comment. And lo and behold, the community comment was laced with anti-Semitism. Putting on masks is a Zionist conspiracy. The Jews are trying to take over our schools. There are almost no Jews in the community. And you read the article and you look around, and after having read Joseph, you want to say, hey, folks, do not assume that the hatred that is still embedded in American society against Jews will never be called forth by a political leader into making life unbearable for us here. Forgive me. I'm only being honest, and I try not to be. Being lighthearted is much better. But I read that, and my first comment was, forgive the vulgarism. Where the hell did this come from? I mean, you want to fight about masks, and you want to fight about my body and whatever you want to. Where did this become Jewish in this small town?
For real?
At a school board meeting. Because it's there, built into American society, waiting for the horrible possibility of some politician really turning it to political use.
God forbid.
It scares me. And I look at Joseph. He did a great thing. He brought the people there. He gave them comfort. They lived. But where did they live? In a ghetto. They didn't have ghettos yet. But they were in a ghetto in Goshen. Because they couldn't live amidst that was bad. They couldn't live amidst the Egyptian people. They weren't allowed. And a few hundred years later, they were slaves. Abby.
You know, I'm a neuropsychologist and I do testing, and there's a storytelling task. And what you basically said was Joseph had an easy, realistic, positive resolution, but there was no constructive resolution. So even though something good happened, there was no construction of why did this happen? How can we make it not happen again? So that's what it reminds me of just finding an easy, positive solution rather than a constructive resolution to the situation.
Thank you. I'm sorry for having unburdened this way. I feel that it's not the spirit of Shabbos and Hanukkah and Rosh Chodesh and all those good things. But it bothers me. It bothers me that we are pretending that a Joseph experience, ignoring the mood of the population, Thanks, Ray. It's tough. Okay, Steve, and then we're going to end. I'm apologizing. I didn't want to go there, but I did.
Don't apologize.
I think this growth of anti-Semitism's all over. Just this week, the Democratic Socialists, Bernie Sanders group, a huge number of them wanted to expel Jamal Bowman, one of the progressives, because he went to Israel. And shockingly, he went to Israel with J Street and even visited the West Bank. So it's pretty frightening how far some of this has gone in the 21st century.
I resent. Tamara, you said it's very relevant to Hanukkah. Do you want to put in one word, and then I'll give you the last word and we'll close? No? Relevant to Hanukkah. Folks, the Joseph story is a warning to us. And what Abby said, fix the surface problem, didn't change it fundamentally. Joseph couldn't bring the Israelites into Egypt, really. He never did. They remained isolated, available as a target. And they became targets. Brad Ellison. Oh, yeah, Brad, I'm aware of this Jew in France who is now the head of the far right anti-Semitic yes.
Oh my God.
Oh, yes. Poor Miss Le Pen. She has competition from a Jewish right-winger. On that happy note,
Oy vey.
Yeah, on that oy vey, we say Shabbat Shalom, Chag Urim Sameach, Rosh Chodesh Sameach, and there's a great program this afternoon. There's a great movie tonight. Love you all. Thank you. Have a great week.
We love you.
Shabbat Shalom.
Kaddish, Rabbi, Kaddish.
Oh, Kaddish. Oh, thank you.
Yes, Kaddish.
Those who have passed away during the past month: Philip Bartmasser, Dennis Karen, Harriet Eport, Toby Gold, Harry Golden, Stuart Goldman, Yafa Hagnazar, William Leisner, Shirley Linda, Harry Lipman, Estelle Markowitz, Barbara Werlin, and yortsites during the past week: Lawrence Edelman, William Edelman, Susan Altfeld, Tala Arnovitz, Michael August, Anna Barbanel, Morris Barkin, Albert Barnathan, Judith Barron, Lester Barron, Anne Baracco, Ezatola Baseri, Sarah Baum, Ralph Binder, Milton Blaine, Janice Block, Elke Brenzel, Holly Brock Cohn, Hyman Bubar, Nat Bubar, Ray Bubar, Harvey Kammer, Frank Kaplan, Lil Cohen, Muriel Corwin, Ben Dan, Sylvia David, Bessie DeFalco, Jenny Doro, Samuel Doro, Rachel Eliachar, Margaret Epstein, Marge Farber, Shirley Levine Fisher, Roger Weiss Fox, Evelyn Freeman, Natalie Friedman, Lee Gelfond, Joseph Charles Goldman, Leonard Goldberg, Minna Goldman, Sandy Gordon, Ruth Green, Esther Green, Edith Heftel, Harold Hecht, Sherry Herzog, Donald Hester, Larry Hill, Cecilia Hirsch, Harry Theodore Holmberg, Sylvan Howard Goldinger, Goldie Katz, Ann Ketover, Bernard Kislin, Rose Cecile Klein, Jenny Lipman Klein, Martha Klein, Alex Coper, Lester Korn, Rachel Kossower, Ruth Kreider, Harry Cunin, Belle Lazier, Sylvia Leff, Gladys Leibner, Minnie Leisner, Herman Lewin, Erna Lovis, Lillian Lyons, Marion Marblestone, Doran Mathis, Joanne Mathis, Sam Mathis, Barbara McDermott, Zachary Meadow, Florence Melvin, Esther Myers Green, Lorraine Michaelis, David Millett, Kurt Randall Myers, Melissa Morantz Neely, Adeline Newberg, Helene Sherry Nishizawa, Maurice Oakham, Frederick Pashkow, Aaron Pollock, Hannah Price, Theodore Michael Pritikin, Walter Reichwald, Rose Rogers, Harry Rose, Stephanie Rosenblum, Lionel Safro, Burton Sanders, Richard Sanders, Mark Sandrich Jr., Semyon Sapazhnikov, Jenny Sauer, Betty Skadron, Herman Schmidt, Tamara Schroeder, Albert Schwartz, Dorothy Seiler, Yakutiel Tzvi Shalpit, Lillian Shane, Benjamin Shapiro, Faye Scherer, Rose Shohan, Beatrice Siegel, Murray Simmons, Seymour Smith, Sylvia Spiller, David Warren Sugarman, Benito Vollner, Faye Vigon, Leon Wachtman, Marshall Wagman, Eleanor Weingart, Ann Weinstein, Bruce Winokur, Lane Wesley, Violet Wilkinson, Samuel Witz, Werner Wolfen, Edwin Woolworth, Cindy Wool, Mark Warand, Merrill Young, Howard Zolan. I apologize for mispronunciations of names, and if I have omitted a name, either speak the name aloud or speak that name in your hearts at this moment. We remember as well.
Moshe Shopson.
We remember as well. Shabbat Shalom, Joseph. We remember as well all those who died in defense of our country, in defense of the state of Israel, and who died through senseless acts of terror, such as occurred this week. Yitkadal, v'yitkadash, v'yalma, v'yivrachi, v'yamlich malchuteh, chayechon of yomechon, v'chayedechon Israel, v'agala uvizman kavod, Yehei Shmei Rab Yitzrach, Li'olam Li'olam Yitzrach,
Afterlearn.
V'yitpa'ar Yitromam Yaseh, Tar V'yitaleh V'yitalal, Shemei D'Kudisha B'richu, Le'ela Min Kol Birchata V'shivata, Tush B'chata V'nechmata, Miran Bialma, Vimru Amen.
Vimru Amen.
Yehei Shloma Rabba Min Shemayim. The Chayim, Aleinu V'al Kol Yisrael. Amen.
Vimru Amen.
Oseh Shalom Vimru Malchu Ya'aseh Shalom. V'al Kol Yisrael.
Kol Yisrael. Vimru Amen.
Amen.
Love you, Rabbi.
Shabbat Shalom and love everybody. Have a great week. Abby, from strength to strength, right?
From strength to strength.
Okay.
Never again.
Bye-bye.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom. Bye now.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Abby, it was nice to meet you. God bless you, honey. Stay well. See you on the 10th, Hannah.